What's up, everyone? Welcome to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and today we're going to check out the new album, Foregone, by the band In Flames. Foregone is the 14th studio album from the alternative Swedish death metal band since they formed in 1990. Their sound has changed quite a bit since their first couple albums like The Jester Race, Foregone, and Clayman, which are considered to be their top 3 best albums, and they really helped pioneer the Swedish death metal along with At the Gates and Dark Tranquillity. Their last couple albums really disappointed fans though, and a lot of them even claimed that they weren't able to finish their albums Battles, Siren Charms, or I, The Mask in their entirety. A lot of fans, they listened to about 2 or 3 songs, at least from what I've seen on different forums and stuff. And the singles from Foregone have sounded pretty promising. It sounds like it's kind of a mixture of their new stuff, but they definitely go back to their old style of death metal, which sounds really good. It's something I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, I was pretty excited about this one, so let's jump into it. The album opens up with the song The Beginning of All Things, which I feel like is a proper name for the beginning of the album. It's an instrumental with classical guitar. It sounds really pretty, but also it's pretty long. It goes on for over 2 minutes. There's not really a whole lot to it other than just classical guitar and some other instrumentation in the background, and it doesn't have a smooth transition into the next song, State of Slow Decay, which comes in really heavy and dark. The riff and the verse is fairly dynamic, and the distorted vocals sound great. It sounds like they're pushed pretty hard, but there's still a lot of control over them. The pre-chorus builds the anticipation before it goes into the chorus, but also there's like a little guitar solo between the pre-chorus and the chorus, so you're tricked, which worked really well for me because I don't really enjoy guitar solos all that much, especially since you kind of know when it's coming after the second chorus or somewhere around before the bridge, somewhere in like the last, quarter of the song, you can expect a guitar solo. So the fact that this one just kind of popped up, it really worked for me. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The transition though back into verse 3 from the chorus was a little wonky. It just didn't flow very well for me, and the second chorus does work a little bit better just because I feel like by that time you're really starting to get this song and it pulls you into it more, and the more you listen to the song, the more it grows on you for sure. I'm going to jump ahead to the song Bleeding Out, which is probably my favorite song on this album, which is going to be weird for a lot of people because I feel like this is one that's going to kind of fall flat for everybody else. I really enjoyed the drum forward intro with one of the best riffs on the album. The clean vocals pair really well with it. The chorus sounds good and has like an uplifting quality while the lyrics are quite the opposite. The guitar solo was unexpected as well. It just reminds me of it's like Dream Theater if they had a different vocalist, someone who had lower vocals, and it just works. Like it just has this throwback feel to me. It's very nostalgic. I believe that's why I like it so much. I'm not really sure, but I enjoyed the overall sound of it. It's very dark. It's really heavy feeling, and this is the point in the album when I really got into it. However, the song before it, Meet Your Maker, I believe is probably going to be most people's favorites off this one. It's got a really aggressive intro with tons of gallops. The verse is a little bit more chill just because it lets the vocals be heard, but it still has that energy going. And the pre-chorus and the chorus have clean vocals that sound so good, and I love the post-chorus, which is the same as the intro. The instrumentation is just so heavy, and the song is very simple, but it's just really groovy. Where Bleeding Out pulls you in atmospherically, I would say Meet Your Maker pulls you in musically, and it really gets you going into the album. One of my least favorite songs on the album is Pure Light of Mind. I didn't really enjoy the higher vocals in the verses. It's almost like the opposite of Bleeding Out, where now Dream Theater's vocalist is singing for In Flames now. The chorus felt a little too radio playish for me. It still had a good hook, and I didn't enjoy the little guitar solo melody thing that plays behind the vocals pretty much throughout this entire song. It just didn't have a whole lot of dynamics to me, and it felt like it made the whole album slow down a lot, but that's okay because the next song, The Great Deceiver, brings this album back to life with its energy. The riff is powerful and the vocals are very demanding. The chorus is like this old school feel to it as it speeds up and gets a little bit more death metal, which I enjoyed so much. We even got some well-placed blast beats, and the post-solo instrumentation was fantastic. I mean, the solo is good too, but right after it, we just had this fat riff that just keeps going, and they really let you hear it and they let it breathe. and it is just magical. And then we have the two title track songs, Foregone Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 has a great sounding riff with tons of dynamics and great metaphors in the verse. And I love that the chorus doesn't really change much from the verses other than it gets a little bit more of an intense vocal presence to it, and there's a little bit more melody. It just flows right into it. It sounds so good. The instrumental was sick, and I even enjoyed the guitar solo. This might be a really dumb thing to say, but this song just, it really sounded like At the Gates, which is one of my favorite bands. And this song, it just really got me into it. It had that old kind of In Flames vibe, which is something I feel like has been missing from other albums. And it just, I couldn't get enough of it. This is another one of my favorite songs. And then we have Part 2, which is a lot different. It's a really slow build in the intro. The clean vocals are kind of surprising. I didn't really care for the effect on them that much, specifically just in the intro. I believe they go away in verse 2. The distorted vocals are really powerful though in the pre-chorus, and the chorus keeps that energy going. The hook in the chorus is addictive, and it makes you want to keep listening to this song over and over and over again. And even though I didn't really care that much for the clean vocals, they still sounded really good, especially in the last chorus where it gets broken up by the instrumentals. Like you'll love it. It gives you, like I said, it's addictive, and it just kind of gives you a little bit, and there's just some instrumental stuff going on. It gives you a little bit more and more instrumental stuff, and it just, they wrote it so well. Because for me personally, I get bored with clean vocals, especially in the chorus. You kind of, I don't know, once you hear like a chorus with clean vocals once and you hear it again, it kind of loses its epicness. But when they threw the instrumental stuff in there, it just brought it all back around, and it changed the song so much for me. In the Dark has probably the most grittiest and distortive vocals as it keeps the death metal vibe going. The pre-chorus and the chorus hook sound really cool, and it's ushered in by classical guitar. Kind of reminds me of the intro, but then it finishes off with blast beats, and it's just such an amazing contrast. However, for me, the melodic qualities of the song are really what made it shine. And then we have a dialogue in B flat minor, which is a great name for a song. I love the build up in the intro, and verse 2 is kind of a pleasant surprise where it's got clean vocals in verse 1 and you think you're going to get a chorus or pre-chorus, and you get verse 2 with some distorted vocals, and it just, I don't know, it throws you through a loop, and it sounds so good. It kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit more, and I really dig the metaphors and the storytelling in this song. I think it's probably about dealing with anger or maybe depression or maybe both. It sounds mostly like it's about anger. Either way, the lyrics in this are fantastic. Then we come to the song Cynosure, which means to be like the center of attention, or I guess affection in a way. Like if you go to someone's birthday party, that person is the cynosure, I guess you could say. It starts off with another top tier riff, and the bass line in this is absolutely killer. I feel like it carries the verse. I don't really like the vocal effect all that much. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know, I'm going to get a lot of crap for this. It kind of reminds me of Metallica a little bit, not quite as bad. But I don't know, this song just, it didn't really do that much for me, especially with the chorus. It kind of fell flat, mostly because of the vocals. Instrumentally, this is probably one of the best songs here. I mean, it's got the best riff, has a bass line that you could really hear. And I mean, you could really hear it. It sounds so freaking good. The drums are fantastic. All the transitions are great. The vocals are kind of what I didn't agree with all that much. And then we have the final track and the transmission. I'm glad that they went heavy for the closer. I was scared they were going to do like a slow song with like more classical guitar. It also has more of like a traditional feel to it. This one sounds like probably something they would have done in the early 2000s or so. The chorus did feel like it was a little out of place, but it definitely grows on you. But I mean, I didn't really like the hook all that much either. It didn't really hook me, I guess you could say. And it's a little too repetitive, which is something I also had a hard time with. Otherwise, this is a really good closing track. It gives you a lot of closure. It feels like it completes the story, completes the album, and completes the entire thought that the album was trying to get through to you. This was great. It's been a long time since I've been able to enjoy basically every song on an In Flames album. I think they did a really good job at blending their newer sound with their older sound without trying to sound like they're, catering to fans that have been with them since the early 90s and also cater to newer fans. It just felt really natural. And even the songs that were more prominently just straight up death metal, it sounded new. It sounded fresh. It didn't sound like they're trying to be something that they were, like, shoot, I mean, almost 30 years ago. And the production was great as well, too. It was really dark. It wasn't overly compressed. You could really hear everything. All the riffs were great, as were the drum work and the distorted vocals. I didn't always care for the clean vocals, admittedly, or the slower moments, but I also didn't really find myself wanting to skip those songs. Even on like the multiple listens I did for this, when I got to those moments, I wasn't like over it. I wasn't ready to skip it. I just kind of was like, oh, all right, like I don't enjoy this as much. It's not bad whatsoever, but this just isn't really my cup of tea, but it still works really well within the album. I feel like this album has a lot of ups and downs in terms of emotion and overall sound that it does very well. All the song placements were fantastic because of that. When a song feels like it's been a little too low, it kind of feels like the pace of the album is slowing down. Usually the next song is going to bring it right back up, which for me, when I get bored, especially listening to stuff like this multiple times, it makes it really difficult to make it through. And for me, it was great. I really enjoyed it. So with all that said, I got to give Foregone a 7.4 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I know there's a lot of like old school In Flame fans, and there's a lot of people who like their newer stuff. So yeah, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Foregone. Let me know what you would rate it, what your favorite song is. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to help support me and the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell icon. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at like 970, which is just insane that to me that more than like 10 people care enough to hear what I have to say. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time. I was